Hey friends, this is Jim with Science Talk here. And sorry I mentioned, I did a previous video where I talked about the sea ice and the Bering Sea, as noted by Dr. Rick Tolman. And in that video I made a passing reference to talking about an island off the coast of Denmark that has switched to green energy to power it. That's what I'm going to discuss with you here in this video. So this small Danish island basically ends fossil fuel use by combining, admittedly ambitious aims and ensuring that local people have a say in what happens in what energy sources are replaced in the fossil fuel. So the island of Samso, I'm not sure, the last letter is a Scandinavian character. It almost looks like the symbol for the null set. So I'm not sure how that's pronounced in Scandinavia, but I'm going to go with Samso. But it's off the Denmark's east coast. Between 1998 and 2007, it abandoned its total dependence on imported fossil fuel and now relies entirely on renewables, primarily wind and biomass. It has been singled out as the world's first 100% renewable island by the RTA, Rapid Transition Alliance, which says that Samso can teach the world some vital lessons about changing fast and radically. Again, this is a story that nothing's been as yet written up in peer-reviewed journals, but this is an important story because there is a lesson for the communities around the planet. 1997, Samso, with 4,000 inhabitants, entered a Danish government competition to develop a model renewable energy community, aiming to prove that the country's target of reducing carbon emissions by 21% was achievable. Samso's winning proposal was based on strong community engagement and a cooperative ownership strategy. A brief word about that. It was a gentleman, an economist, who I think has some excellent ideas out there. He goes by the name of Professor Richard Wolff. That's with two F's, W-O-L-F-F. And he has long been an advocate of co-ops, where the workers are actually determining how the business is run, as opposed to having some CEO dictating and everything goes down from there. So the workers would then determine what output they want, what the salaries and compensation would be, all the stuff that typically comes that a CEO typically decides about running a business. The workers would decide amongst themselves. So that's basically what this island did here. They basically had a cooperative ownership strategy. And through this, they were able to show how to make renewables not only a social, economic, and energy success. With wind power now projected to be Europe's biggest energy source by 2027, that's just 8 years away. The RTA says one essential element in making it work successfully is how it is managed, and Samso is a trailblazer in that respect. What the islanders did was basically straightforward enough. By the year 2000, they had installed 11 wind turbines covering their electricity needs. A further 10 offshore turbines were erected in 2002, generating enough energy to offset emissions from their cars, buses, tractors, and any ferry to the mainland. 3/4 of their heating and hot water now comes from biomass boilers fueled with locally grown straw. Samso's transition, the alliance says, proved that a wholesale shift to renewable energy is possible with existing technology and limited government assistance. Nowadays, residents are producing so much more clean energy than they need, and they export what they don't use, that in fact they have an average annual CO2 footprint of minus 12 tons per person. Let me repeat that again. The average annual CO2 footprint is minus 12 tons per person. That is amazing. And that, of course, helps their fellow citizens overall averagely to lower their emissions too. The average Dane emits 6.2 tons of CO2 a year. The average Brit, 10 tons. SAMSO also engaged with what's called active buy-in. So basically what they were able to show was the effectiveness of selling ambitious targets and meeting them. The alliance says SAMSO's transition is impressive because it was achieved with active buy-in, both figuratively and financially, of the local community. So convincing people to get on board, of course, is crucial. People often oppose onshore wind turbines as a visual intrusion, a blot on the landscape. So the transition organizers, SAMSO Energy Academy, figured out a way to include the islanders as the turbine's owners. Very simple principle that they came up with. If you could see a turbine from your window, you could sign on as a co-investor. Simple. Meaning that anyone living with the technology had a stake in it and stood to benefit. You can basically say, oh, that's my turbine out there. It's almost like you stuck a windmill in your backyard. This is just a big windmill. With so many islanders having a direct stake in the turbines, is now near unanimity. Yeah, my tongue is tripping today. Unanimity that the renewable transition has been good for SAMSO. Of the 11 onshore turbines, 9 are owned privately by local farmers and 2 by local cooperatives. 5 of the offshore turbines are owned by the municipality, 3 privately, and 2 cooperatively by small shareholders. Before the transition, SAMSO had relied mainly on oil, with its electricity generated in coal-fired power plants on the mainland. The potential for renewables had not been explored, and there was deep skepticism whether that would work. A lack of opportunities for education and work had led many young people to leave the island. Now the islanders embraced this transition, but not because of climate change. Instead, most looked to its potential to provide jobs, strengthen the local economy, and secure greater energy independence. So those, like here back in the United States, those say, how are you going to pay for Green New Deal? You get your own jobs from it. Green New Deal provides its own jobs. Historically, whenever there's been a transition from one kind of system to another, people worrying about the jobs of the old system, well, new jobs are created in the new system that will replace the old jobs, and people will still have work. As far as paying for stuff here, well, don't get me going on that because that becomes a political thing and this is about science. But let's just say that instead of wasting money on the military and wars, take that money, fix the infrastructure here in the U.S., invest in Green New Deals, Medicare for all. Those who live here in the U.S. know the litany. So, yeah, basically a Green New Deal, Green New economy can produce a lot of jobs. Key to SAMSO's success, the alliance thinks, was the insistence on transparency, consultation, and starting from what people wanted. From the start, there was full disclosure of information, with the master plan published in the island's library and information shared through the local newspaper and discussed in detail at regular community meetings. SAMSO's long tradition of agricultural cooperatives also helped to ensure strong local engagement, and there was ample time for discussion and decision making, which helped to build confidence and a strong sense of collective ownership of decisions and how they proceeded forward. And agricultural cooperatives, now you can see where they got the straw. Now, they weren't necessarily growing straw just for the purpose of providing biofuel, but whatever is not used can be turned into biofuels, as to other cast-offs or products not immediately harvested or utilized by livestock and so forth. So this is a very good example that it can be done. When you really think about it, it makes no sense to have, okay, you have a pile of houses, and let's have this power plant. And the power plant running off coal, gas, whatever, sending down transmission lines, sends power to different homes. Why not have each home be its own little power plant? Solar panels, windmills, what have you. You can do it. So this is a very encouraging story. Now, this is an island, of course, so we're talking 4,000 inhabitants. It gets to be a more difficult problem when we start getting up to, say, 100,000 residents, 1 million residents, etc. But you have to start somewhere, and this is a good start. And I think there's good lessons in here for the world. So, very encouraging. Kudos to the folks who lived there that did this, and I hope it's continued success. So, on that note, thank you for your time. Hey friends, this is Jim reminding you to subscribe and share my videos. Also, don't forget to click the bell so that you know when I drop a video in. And I'm also asking for you to please support the work that I do by becoming a patron at patreon.com. Details in the description box below. Thank you for your continued support.